everyone, welcome back to my channel. For the love of glitter, I'm Anna Crossland. Today I'm going to be doing a first impressions video on the Physicians Formula times Casey Holmes collection. Now, she is probably one of my favorite YouTubers because she always seems so down to earth. As I'm doing this review, is currently sold out on Physicians Formula's website as well as Ulta's website. It retails for $19.99, which I think is a great deal. Let's talk about the packaging. I think it's beautiful. I really love it. It's very beachy. I love the holographicness to it. It is chunky, which a lot of people are complaining about, but it has so much stuff in here. It comes with 3 face products. You get a bronzer, a blush, a highlighter, 4 shadows, lipstick, and perfume, and it all comes in this box. So it comes with a lot of stuff. You can basically do your whole face out of this box. All you need is your foundation and your eyebrow stuff and yeah, your mascara. That's about it. It felt really weird going to film this because I was like, all I have on is my foundation, and like I can do a whole look out of this. It's quite nice to have it all in one place. I do enjoy the packaging, and also it's a little bit eco-friendly if you think about it, because each thing is not individually packaged. I guess if they do want to make a lot of the customers happier though, is maybe next time having everything come in this box, and then maybe having a little tiny palette that has the bronzer, blush, and the highlighter that you can take out and take with you. I do have their limited edition boxes that they launched last year, and it is like a lot bigger, which I honestly wasn't expecting. Like, I thought this would be skinnier, so it is pretty big. It's so pretty. I love it. It's pretty in pink. It would look pretty even just sitting out on your vanity. Everything in here is paraben-free, gluten-free, and cruelty-free, which is a plus in my opinion. In this box, there's some things that are already out and some are limited edition. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4 things that are limited edition, I believe. But I don't know if you can get this perfume unless you buy like a box set that they've already created, which I don't know if those are still around or not. First, we are going to go into the bronzer, which is the deep bronzer. I have used this before, and I feel like on really deep dark skin tones this probably doesn't really show up, so that's kind of a little bit of a downfall. I'm going to use it to contour today, and I'm going to use my e.l.f. highlighting brush. I really like this for highlighting, for contouring. It's just a really awesome brush because it just fits so nicely underneath your cheekbones, so that's what I'm going to use today. And it's just very fluffy, so it blends it out super nice, so it's not too stark and crazy. So this is more of a warm tone bronzer, but I don't feel like it's too warm. Like, it doesn't look orangey on the skin, and that's why I do like this bronzer. But it does definitely help warm up your face nicely, and it smells so good.
Oh, love, tearing me apart from the inside out so I can sell from the inside. Oh, love, tearing me apart from the inside out so I can see myself from the inside. Oh, love.
For my nose, I'm actually going to use this Wet n Wild contour brush. I like using this for like my nose just because it can fit there very nicely as opposed to like a fluffy brush. It's just easier to create a nice little line, and then I do it under my lip with this one too, just for a more precise type of look. Just kind of move it back and forth.
Tearing you apart from the inside out so you can see yourself from the inside. Oh,
Deep bronzer on my skin tone. I definitely feel like I'm a lighter skin tone. I don't see the sun anymore in Illinois. There is no sun, only in the summertime, and then it's hot and humid. So this is my very pale skin with the darkest bronzer right now. I do think Physicians Formula did come out with some more bronzers, so I'm curious to see what those are like. I'm so excited to try the blush. I don't know if it's a cream or a powder. I know normally it's a powder, but this looks kind of like a cream. I don't even want to touch it. It's so pretty. This one is not limited edition either. It's called Copper Cabana. It's definitely a powder and luminous, rosy, coppery. Let me swatch the bronzer for you too. It's matte. So there are those. Super excited to see what the blush is on. I feel like on tan and deep skin tones it's gonna look best on. Hopefully I can pull it off. For blush, I'm going to use my Luxie 514 blush brush. Just gonna swirl it in there but then tap off. I feel like it might be really pigmented, especially for my skin tone. I'm gonna start a little bit more here, and I'm going really lightly because I don't know how pigmented this blush is gonna be on me. It definitely has a nice sheen. One of those blushes that you don't necessarily need highlighter with either. So some people aren't gonna like this blush. I do like glowy blushes, so it doesn't bother me, but I know some people don't like it because it can accentuate some of your pores and all of that stuff, and I just don't care. I'm like, accentuate my pores, you pretty little thing. It kind of gives me, like, I'm not saying it's a dupe, but it gives me a vibe of like when Too Faced came out with their peach Pompadour Peach blush. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Maybe a little bit more coppery though, less peachy, but it kind of gives me that same type of vibe. Last, for the face, we have this highlighter, which this highlighter is limited edition, and so this is one that she created. It's called Just Beachy, which I think is really cute. Definitely like a golden type of color, a golden champagne-y. Has flecks of glitter in this one, which I haven't really seen in the other kind of bronzer palettes or highlighters. Well, not true. They had that like kind of lavender silver one. Super pretty. I usually use my fingers for these highlighters because it just kind of is easier to do. A lot of cream products I like to use my fingers because it just blends it in nicely. So far, if you're someone who doesn't like glitter in their like highlighters, it might not be for you. I've never been a person who was bothered by that though. I feel like for some people this just might be too much shimmer and glimmer, but not for me. I personally love, like, give me all the glitter and all the shimmer, so I don't mind it. Some other people might. So that's applied with my finger very lightly, nothing too intense. You can try a brush. I don't know if I've ever used a brush in one of these types of highlighters, so we'll see. This is actually the Morphe x Bretman Rock brush. Be interesting. I feel like it might give it more of an intense glow. I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah, and it like dispersed it more. Maybe I should just go over that. It's super pretty though. I feel like a lot of skin tones could honestly pull this off. Like, if you're lighter than me, it might be a tad, like if you're very, very pale, it might be a tad too dark for you, but I feel like darker skin tones can also pull this off. But even if you are fair, I feel like you could kind of use it as more of a blush topper, but it's just kind of seems like a pretty universal shade. Now onto the eyeshadows. There are 4 eyeshadows. I think only 2 are limited edition and one's Do Not Disturb and No Filter, and they look matte. So you get 3 what look like mattes and then 1 shimmer, which is the green, which I can't really tell until I swatch them. Let's see. I've never tried Physicians Formula eyeshadows, none of them. So this will be an interesting experience. They feel really buttery so far. I do think it's a really interesting shade layout, and I actually like it. It's neutral, but then has a pop of color, so you have a little bit of uniqueness there. So based off swatches, they're really nice and really reddish brown tones. Normally, like, those ones are harder to swatch with any palette because they kind of have like a little bit of grittiness or patchiness always, almost always. And these, I didn't really notice that. So there we go. I feel like the green is not like a super intense shimmer, but it is a shimmer, and I feel like on camera it's not showing up. So I did hear complaints about there being not a kind of transition shade, but I feel like you have a bronzer in here, so that's kind of like the perfect color for a transition shade. We're gonna actually start off with Do Not Disturb, which is the matte kind of, oh, that's a lot of powder. It's like you don't have to dip in a lot and they're very powdery. So we're just gonna start off with this Do Not Disturb just to kind of set underneath my eyebrow. And all it is like this milky type of shade, milky bone shade, and it looks pretty pigmented. I do not have primer on, but I do have my foundation on, which is like kind of how I always do my makeup. I barely ever wear eye primer. Now we're going to go into the bronzer and use that as kind of a transition shade to get us started.
Tearing me apart from the inside out so I can see myself from the inside.
It's very powdery. That doesn't really bother me, but I know people, I always hear it's so powdery. Like, just tap off your brush. So next I'm gonna go into this No Filter color, which is the kind of lightest brown shade. I don't want to call it light brown because I don't, wow, see, like I barely tapped it and it picked up a lot, so definitely like go in lightly and maybe tap off your brush just so you can kind of build it up, because you don't want to put it all on there and be like, whoa. Yeah, like I barely needed any. I feel like I should zoom you guys in. So there was barely any on my brush after I tapped it off, and I mean, it's pigmented. It's pigmented. I really do like these tones though. They're really pretty. And I do think the bronzer is working really well as a kind of transition shade with this shade so far. So far so good. Next, I'm going to go into Morphe's M514 brush. It's like this tiny little blending brush, which is great for like just getting in the crease. So that's what I love it for. And I'm going to go into now the darkest brown shade, which looks very like red brown, and I'm super excited. Again, barely tapped it and have a lot of product, so. Okay, so this one's not showing up as pigmented as I thought it would. So maybe I'll try not tapping it off and see what happens. Okay, so that's what happens if you don't tap it off. It's very pretty. I really like these colors. I know we have that green shade left, and I feel like everyone's putting it on their eyelid, and I don't want to do that because I feel like that's just what everyone is doing. I think we're actually going to put the blush. Like, look at this. These colors and tones are so gorgeous. Like, I honestly didn't think I'd be like wowed by the eyeshadows, but I'm just really liking the color, these browns. I really like them. I'm going to use the blush, and we're going to put it on the lid from here to like the middle. So now I have wet my brush and I'm going into that blush shade. I think on top I'm going to add a little bit of highlighter just to make it a little bit more sparkly. And this is a Wet n Wild, I don't know what brush this is, but it's a Wet n Wild something. So I'm just going to add some of that just to make it a little bit more sparkly. In the inner corners we're going to pop some highlighter with our fingers. And then we're going to take the green on the bottom. So I'm taking this Sonia Kashuk kind of pencil-y type brush, and we're going to go into that green color. And so far I'm really loving this. I didn't have my doubts, which is why I bought it. It was kind of a safe buy. Like, I don't like Physicians Formula, and I like Casey Holmes, so can't really go wrong. Okay. So this green, I'm having a hard time on this brush with. I feel like I should wet it and it will probably perform the way I want it to. It's just showing it more of like a really soft, more blurred out type green, so it's not like going on super pigmented. Only thing that's not really first impressions, I still need to put mascara on, you guys, but before I do, the only thing that's not first impressions is the Pop the Bubbly, because yesterday when I got this I was like, I really want to try it. And these are their new Murmur, I can never say that, butter, what are these? I don't know, but they came out with like a bunch of new ones. I was so excited when I first smelled it because it smells like passion fruit. And like, I used to drink the passion fruit juice from Welch's growing up, so it's like, hello childhood memories. And it feels so buttery. This is also kind of has some shimmer in it. It's right there. I'll put it on. I'm just looking in the monitor, but see, it's like a My Lips but better, but with a golden sheen to it. So it's nothing crazy, and it feels amazing, and it smells like it makes your lips look really juicy because it does have that golden sheen, and it's I just love that smell because it smells like passion fruit. It's really buttery and lightweight and almost just like you have like a really lightweight lip balm or lip gloss on, and it feels really great. If you love Physicians Formula and you love Casey Holmes, or even if you just love Physicians Formula or you just love Casey Holmes, I think this is a great buy. For $20 you're getting quite a bit for your buck. Everything in here performed great. Everything is really powdery, so just keep that in mind, except for the highlighter, of course, because it's kind of like creamy, kind of like a Super Shock formula, which is the thing I can describe it to the best of my ability. But the eyeshadows performed great. The green could have been a little bit more pigmented. I wish it was super intense shimmery, but it's not. But honestly, the green's probably not going to be what I reach for the most anyways. Love this blush because it just gives you a really pretty glow. Highlighter is pretty too, but not everyone's going to love this, at least the face options, because you get a really glowy blush paired with a really sparkly highlighter. I would pair them both and have no problems with it. Of course, I love the bronzer. It's beautiful. I was actually super impressed with the browns because they are very pigmented and they weren't very patchy, and normally like reddish browns have a higher chance of being patchier. I've swatched so many red browns in my lifetime from so many brands, high-end brands, drugstore brands, and a lot of times they're one of the hardest ones to swatch and work with just because they're a little bit patchy, and these ones went on super smooth. Lipstick, it feels great. It wouldn't be like the reason why I buy this palette, just because I know they came out with a bunch of other shades. I'm sure you can find something kind of similar. This lip shade isn't going to give you anything like too crazy. Like, it just kind of gives you like a little bit of a sheen, gives a little bit of color back to your lips, and then also makes them look a little more plump because it has the gold glitters in it. The perfume, so I honestly was a little bit disappointed when they came out with this perfume. It smells good, but I was honestly hoping it would smell just like the bronzer because I'm obsessed with that scent, and it doesn't. And I get it, some people don't want to smell just like it, man, but it smells so good. It's a beautiful palette. Congrats to Casey Holmes. I think you did a beautiful job. Let me know if you guys plan on getting this or if you think you're gonna skip out on it. You all have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.